David Menzies for Rebel News here in Toronto. Well, folks, I'm on Danforth Avenue, otherwise known as Greektown. Now, this area earned that nickname thanks to the several generations of Greeks who have built this community into what it is today, namely a fashionable stretch of asphalt where you'll find boutiques and bakeries and grocery stores and, of course, restaurants serving the best souvlaki this side of Athens. But for the next 3 weeks or so, Greektown is going to more or less resemble, Islamabad. At least it's sure going to sound like it. That's because City Council here in Toronto has granted an exemption to the noise bylaws, which is to say that mosques in Toronto, as well as other Ontario communities, they're going to be allowed to broadcast via loudspeaker their call to prayers, including this big one behind me. Now, that means when the sun sets, whether you like it or not in this neighborhood, you're going to be hearing something like this. Allahu Akbar, Ooh, dig that groovy beat. Now, the question arises, why? Why would mosques broadcast a call to prayer when the mosques, much like the churches and the synagogues and the Hindu temples, they're all closed due to the COVID-19 safety precautions? Well, the answer is the people behind this push to broadcast this Islamic music are using COVID-19 as an excuse. They say that this is a means in which the Islamic community can better cope. But again, it doesn't make sense. The Islamic community can't congregate here because of, those COVID-19 safety precautions. So maybe is there something else at play here? Maybe is this a demonstration of Islamic exceptionalism? The idea that the mosques, as opposed to the other religious institutions, can do things that they cannot do? And that's not really a stretch, is it, folks? In the last few weeks, we have chronicled via our Fight the Fines series the double standard that exists in this country right now. My colleague Cian Bexty has profiled not one but two street preachers in Calgary who have been fined a considerable sum of money for doing that egregious thing known as feeding the homeless. And as for myself, I visited Elmer, Ontario earlier this week and got to speak to the pastor of the Church of God, Henry Hildebrandt, who is also being harassed and threatened by local law enforcement, saying he will be fined considerable amounts of money if he doesn't stop his church services. But what harm is Pastor Hildebrandt doing? The congregants aren't coming into the Church of God. Rather, they're self-isolating in a parking lot at the Church of God with the windows rolled up. They never exit their vehicles. They're not even passing around the collection plate to reduce the chance of having contact. So really what's happening at the Church of God is nothing different than what's happening at your local Walmart or Costco these days. And yet here we have the Islamic faith being granted an exemption and actually being championed for it. For example, just consider the recent tweet by the councillor for this area, Paula Fletcher. Now, before I get to her tweet, let me tell you a little bit about Paula Fletcher. Before she became a Toronto City Councillor, she was the president of the Communist Party of Manitoba. No, I swear, folks, I'm not making this up. So Paula Fletcher had this to say: in an effort to celebrate Ramadan during the COVID-19 outbreak, Medina Masjid on Danforth will mark sundown each night by broadcasting the call to prayer for 2 minutes over their speaker throughout the month of Ramadan until May 23rd. Yeah, so it's very funny, isn't it, folks, that, Paula Fletcher would be a cheerleader for Islam, because if she's a communist, I assume she's an atheist. And if she's an atheist, that makes her an infidel. And we know how infidels are treated in certain hardcore Islamic republics the world over. But I digress. So you have to wonder why it is that several municipalities, not just Toronto, Ajax has capitulated, as has Mississauga, in a unanimous vote there to allow the loudspeaker call to prayers to play until May 23rd. You have to wonder what is behind it. My take, just absolute terror by these predominantly white liberals who feel that they might be labeled as Islamophobic unless they agree to all the demands from those in the Islamic and even the Islamist community of Canada. So to sum it up, what is the moral of the story here, folks? Well, I think it's this, to paraphrase a great line from George Orwell: all religions are created equal, but some religions are more equal than others. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, have you been harassed by bylaw or law enforcement regarding those COVID-19 safety protocols? Well, if you think you have a case, let's hear it. Go to fightthefines.com, that's fightthefines.com, and if we do think your story has merit, we will put you in touch with our top lawyer, Sam Goldstein, and we will crowdfund your legal fees to seek justice once things return to normal. And if you don't have a story to tell us, folks, go to fightthefines.com nevertheless, and please, if you can, make a donation so that we can indeed crowdfund these lawyer fees. Thank you.